Hey guys. Ooh. Okay, so before I started, I made this gigantic whiteboard thing of the book we're reading, because why not? So over here is the cast of characters that we've met so far, and then here is the chapter we're on, and then all the chapters. There's 16 of them, and yeah. And so I made that, and I said we're on chapter 3 called The Wild Night. And then I have my sister made these. These are little puppets. This is Jean Wallace, and that's Jonah, and this is Mary Wallace. And she's gonna make the other ones, but they're like little puppets, like this. Okay. Hello. 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 Like that. So, yeah, and so he made those, and I'm going to eventually do a, what's it called? A puppet show, like there. A puppet show on the baby island, and I'll take a video of it and I'll post it so you guys can watch it after we finish the book. We are only on chapter 3 because this book is long. Well, it's not that long, but the chapters are pretty kind of long and stuff. So yeah. So we are on chapter 3 called A Wild Night, and so yeah. Sorry, I'm excited to get started. And I almost forgot. Today is Try It Tuesday. Today is Try It Tuesday. So, I want you to tell me what you tried today while I'm reading. So. Okay, so I'm going to start A Wild Night, and yeah. Okay. Chapter 3. While the babies napped and the lifeboat bobbed over the waters, Mary and Jean turned out their pockets to see what useful things chance might have sent along with them. Out of Jean's came a ball of string, a piece of tinfoil, a chain of safety pins, a study pencil, and a half-written postal card for Aunt Emma. "There's no use in that, anyway," said Mary, looking at the card. It was a picture of the Armada floating upon a calm blue sea, except it wasn't, because they got shipwrecked, but yeah. On the other side, Jean had written, "Dear Aunt, the weather is fine. We're all fine. This is a fine boat." But look, if you look really close, you see that? She spelled it like the weather, so like without an A, fine. It's funny. "Oh, what fibs!" exclaimed Jean. They're not fibs at all," said Mary, smiling. Only the picture on the other side ought to show our lifeboat instead of the steamer. For the weather is really fine today. We are all well, and this is a fine boat, even if it is a little one." She makes a good point. This girl is very smart. I think this is a bookmark. Okay. Jean was busy filling the rest of the space on the card. She wrote, "We are on our way to a dessert." She wrote dessert, not desert, like with 2 S's. Island, without the S, with the Snodgrass babies and Anne Elizabeth Arlington. We are all well and happy, hoping you are the same. Your loving niece, but with a U instead of an O, And then Niece doesn't have an I. It's two E's. Neecg. P.S. The boat in the picture was wrecked without the W. We are in a fine little lifeboat. Good job, Jean. You just need to work on your spelling. Sorry. What? I promised Aunt Emma I'd write her every week, said Jean solemnly. So here goes number 1 by Deepwater Express. She wrote her aunt's name and address on the card, folded it several times, wrapped it in a piece of tinfoil, put it in an empty beef can, bent down the cover, and set the can floating across the water. Well, of all things, said Mary, I suppose you expect the postman to come by and collect it. No, admitted Jean, but Aunt Emma can't say I didn't try, can she? The two girls laughed. Ha ha ha, ha ha ha. See, they make really good puppets. They can even handle pens. Okay. But somehow their laughter wasn't very mirthful, for they kept thinking of Aunt Emma's sorrowful face when she would hear of the wreck and receive no news of them. Mary's pockets were always more orderly than Jean's. She had a small purse with a few coins in it, a very neat notebook with a calendar in the back, and a housewife. The housewife was a small leather case containing a pair of scissors, a thimble, thread, and needles, which Mary declared would be very useful in keeping the baby's clothes tidy. And it's lucky I have this notebook, too, she said, for the calendar will help us keep track of time, and that's important. If we didn't have a calendar, we might forget when Sunday comes, and the babies must be brought up to respect the Sabbath day and keep it holy, just as they would if they were at home. But we can't go to Sunday school on a desert island, objected Jean. No, replied Mary, but we can lay aside our labors and sing a hymn, and you can repeat the 23rd Psalm to the children, so as you won't forget it. Jean heaved a heavy sigh. The 23rd Psalm has always been a great trial to her. And in the rest of the notebook, oh my gosh, okay, that was backwards, okay. And in the rest of the notebook, we'll make a record, like a family Bible. Taking the pencil, Mary sat with it poised for a moment, lost in thought. Then, on the first page of the notebook, she wrote in a clear, round hand the following record. Elisha Pink, Elijah Blue, aged 20 months. Jonah, aged 4 months. Sons of Reverend Jonah E. Snodgrass, missionary, and his wife Edith. Anne Elizabeth, aged 1 year, daughter of Christopher Arlington, lawyer, and his wife Rebecca. You can see it right there. Rescued from a sinking ship, Armada, by Mary and Jean, aged 12 and 10. Daughters of Sandy Wallace, manager of the Prince Charlie Ranch, Australia. Ship's log, September 21st, at sea. Expect to reach a desert island soon. But in spite of their hopes of reaching a desert island, the day wore slowly on without a glimpse of land. During the hottest hours, they stretched on the tarpaulin over one end of the boat as a shelter for the babies, who really seemed to be enjoying the adventure. They had come so attached to Mary and Jean on board the ship that now they scarcely missed their mothers at all. So much sun and fresh air made them sleepy, and, while they dozed, Mary and Jean washed out their clothes. Wait, ready? Here's a pair of clothes. Wash. Oh wait, let me put Jean. Let me put this little dude away. Why is he attached? Why is he like? Shh. He's stuck to Jean. Okay. Anyway. Sorry. Start washing the clothes. Okay. Mary and Jean washed out such of their garments as needed attention and dried them on the oars stretched across the boat. As she worked, Jean made up a song, and this is what she sang. Oh, there wasn't enough water in all the land to wash out the clothes of Elizabeth, Ann, and Mary and Jean. They couldn't get enough water to make them wet. And the Snodgrass twins had got so much black, we had to feed 'em on old hardtack. But Mary and Jean, they thought of a plan. They always do as fast as they can. Woo! But it's not over. They took the babies out on the sea, and everything there was wet as could be. So the babies got clean as a new penny. Oh, Mary and Jean are very smart girls. Oh, although they never had hair that curls. Oh, Jean was especially very smart. She learned the 23rd Psalm by heart. And now they're traveling many miles to get to a beautiful desert isle. Good job, Jean. Good job. All right. Toward evening, the waves began to grow rough again. Oh, no, the waves are getting rough. Oh. And the girls looked anxiously up at the sky, wondering what the night had in store for them. The Etruvian car at home was never this. Okay, the Uber car. We're just gonna call it Uber. The Uber car at home was never this late, Mary, Jean declared. Never mind, said Mary, trying to look cheerful. We'll get to land soon. I'm sure we will. Don't you remember I told you it was only the other day, though it seems a year ago, that Mr. Snodgrass told me this was part of the ocean is full of little nameless islands? Why, he said there are so many tiny ones they couldn't even make it make a map. They couldn't even make a map of them. Just the same, I wish somebody had made a map of them, said Jean. Then we'd find out where we are and steer for the nearest land. Oh, but my legs need stretching. So do mine, admitted Mary. But without a map, there's no use trying to steer. Because for all we know, we might be steering ourselves in the very wrongest direction. I'm going to sit right here a while longer and keep hoping the wind knows where it's taking us. The sun went down with flaming colors, and a strange, clear twilight hung over the sea for a long time. It made the sky and sea look much vaster, bigger, vaster, huger. Okay. It made the sky and sea look much vaster, and the girls felt small and alone as they bobbed up and down on the waves. When the sun was gone, it began to grow cold, and they were glad for the blankets which they had found in the boat. Aunt Elizabeth cried a little because her mother, having only her and the poodle to look after, had always rocked her to sleep at night. But the Snodgrass babies were used to going to bed under all sorts of strange conditions, and they went to sleep at once. Mary and Jean curled themselves together in the middle of the boat to snatch some rest. They were tired after the adventures of the previous night and the long day in the open boat. Jean fell asleep at once, and tired Mary was just beginning to doze when a long, mournful wail from Jonah brought her up with a jump like this. Let me show you. So they're sleeping. Shh. Ah! Whoa! So I jumped like 50 feet up there. Wah, 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 wah. The youngest Snodgrass baby's face was screwed into a knot of misery. He drew his knees like no, sorry. Like that. Yeah. Okay. He drew his knees up against his stomach and clutched and clawed with his tiny pink hands. Mary took him up with little cries of pity, but no gentle words could persuade him, and neither could rocking nor jouncing did any good. Mary began to be frightened. He was evidently in great misery, and it wrung Mary's heart to see him suffer and not be able to help it. "Wake up, Jean!" she cried. "You've got to help me. Oh, I do wish I knew what was the matter with him." Jean sat up and rubbed her eye. "She's sick," she muttered. "Seasick." "Oh no, surely not seasick," worried Mary. "Babies don't know whether they're upside down or right side up. So how could he be seasick?" "Colic." Colic. I don't know what colic is. Jean said next. Mary was struck by this remark, even though she knew that Jean was half asleep when she made it. What makes you think it's a colic?" "It's colic. Mrs. Snodgrass," mumbled Jean. "That's right," said Mary, thinking rapidly. "I've heard Mrs. Snodgrass say it myself. Jonah is a suspect to the colic," she said. "If his milk doesn't agree with his stomach, or if a cold drop blows on his head. Goodness knows, the poor lamb has had enough cold drops on his head today, and there's no telling how this canned milk agrees with his stomach. It must be the colic." "What's colic?" asked Jean, beginning to take sleepy interest in things. "It's a terrible stomach ache, that's what it is," said Mary, cuddling the screaming baby. "Too bad you couldn't have let me sleep," Mary grumbled Jean. "Listening to him howl isn't going to help him anyway, and it certainly hurts me a lot." "Oh, Jean, aren't you ashamed? Think now. See if you can remember how Mrs. Snodgrass does for the colic." Jean tried hard, but every time she began to remember, she dozed off to sleep. "It's no good," she said at last. "My thinker's gone to sleep." "Oh dear," sighed Mary. "I don't know if a colic is ever fatal, but he's certainly got an awful case. Oh, I wish Mrs. Snodgrass were here." For some time, poor Mary rocked and struggled with the unhappy baby. Then she decided to heat some water over the lantern. She handed the squalling baby to Jean, who took him in a daze, holding him gingerly at arm's length, like this, Of course, you know what they did to Jonah. Of course, you know what they did to Jonah in the Bible, Mary," she remarked. Mary was too busy trying to warm her water to pay much attention to Jean's remark. "What did they do?" she asked. "I hope it was a good cure for colic." "I guess it was," said Jean. "You know there was an awful storm, and the ship was about to be wrecked, and the sailors prayed to the Lord to save them, and he said, 'I will save you if you throw Jonah over the board.' And they did, and he did, and the storm ceased." "I don't see what that has to do with colic." "Yes, but it has a lot to do with Jonah. Maybe if the captain of the Armada had thrown Jonah Snodgrass overboard in time, we wouldn't be out here now floating around in a lifeboat." "Jean!" shouted Mary. "You aren't thinking of throwing Jonah overboard?" "Well, it's an idea," said Jean. "Really, that's the best idea you can think of." Okay, never mind. Mary gave a little scream and caught the baby out of Jean's arms. In her excitement, she flung him sharply against her shoulder. "Glub, glub!" It literally says glub, glub. "Glub, glub," said Jonah with a gasp and a gurgle like air escaping from a toy balloon. Immediately he stopped howling. Mary was so alarmed at the sudden silence that she felt sure she must have killed him. But when the moon came struggling out of the clouds, she discovered that he was looking at her with calm round eyes and peacefully sucking his thumb. she cried. "He's coughed up his misery." Just then the cup of water which she had set on top of the lantern began to bubble, and in a moment she had succeeded in giving him a little warm water. He cried fitfully for an hour and a half after that, but now Mary was no longer worried. She knew how to put him against her shoulder and pat his back until he gulped up the troublesome gas. Presently he fell asleep, and it seemed as if the waves of the sea and all the stars in the firmament had suddenly grown calm now that Jonah had ceased to howl. Much relieved, Mary put him snugly to bed and looked around to see what had become of Jean. All she could see was a dark bunch at the bottom of the boat. Jean had melted into a heap of slumber just where she sat. Several days. Oh wait, sorry, I forgot to show you a picture. That's Jean looking at the sea like she's about to throw Jonah overboard. Whoosh. Luckily she didn't. Several days later, Mary asked Jean if she remembered wanting to throw Jonah into the sea. Jean looked at her with indignant surprise. "Why, Mary," she said, "you must have been dreaming." Click. Okay, so that was the end of chapter 3. And the next, chapter 4 is called Bananas. It's not bananas, bananas. Never mind. But these are the Snodgrass twins, Elisha and Elijah, because, twinsies. Yay, pink and blue. So that's Elijah and Elisha. Yeah. And then, so my sister just finished making those. Okay. Okay, so that was chapter 3, and it did take a little while, but it was a good chapter. The next chapter is called Bananas. So, what do you think? I think they're either gonna find bananas in the boat, or maybe they're gonna land on a desert island that has bananas. That'd be pretty cool. But we won't know until tomorrow. So, I hope you guys did stuff for Try It Tuesday. And for Try It Tuesday, if you didn't do anything, you should try making paper dolls. Okay. Paper dolls. Jean kind of lost her arm, but you should try making paper dolls. It's really fun. You can also look up, what was it on, Mom? Burnt muffin?
We might post a video, Josie. We'll post something later.
Okay, so you can also try looking up how to do paper doll chains. I've tried to do those, but I always get mixed up. I always get confused. But they're really fun, and you guys should try it. And once you do it, you guys should post pictures or comment what you did tomorrow. And yeah, so that's the end of my video. I'm glad you guys watched. See you guys later. See you tomorrow. Bye.